Hello students and welcome back to Mechanical Engineering Practice and Graphics. Today I will be covering the chapter 9 of the book, Editing Features. Now, for this week, we have a couple of activities scheduled. The first one is that we have the homework number 7 that you will have to submit by this weekend. Also, you already did the third quiz and I already graded, so all the grades must be available for you in Blackboard. And last but not least, the second part of your final project, everyone will have to submit their second part by this weekend. This is just a friendly reminder that here are the final project rules. Each member has to submit at least 5 parts per member, and each part should have at least 3 different features. You already confirmed the groups, and you know that the groups are with a maximum of 6 members per group. And remember that every time that you submit these parts to Blackboard, you will have to submit the PDF with the screenshots and the SolidWorks part file. Warning, the next week we will have the second midterm. Uh, it will be the same as we have been doing with the quizzes. You will model one part uh, and you have 24 hours to do so. Now you don't need to connect to WebEx, and it's just the same. You have 24 hours to complete it, and I will release the blueprints next Monday during the day. So uh, probably by 12:30 p.m. I will release the blueprint in Blackboard. So my plan for today's lesson is gonna be 2 tutorials. Remember, these tutorials are not graded. These are just for you to learn how to use different tools. Uh, so there will be these 2 tutorials. Probably this is gonna help you for the midterm exam as well. It will be something similar to this. And finally, the 7th homework, the same rules apply as with the previous homeworks. It's gonna be this part. Again, this part will help you towards preparing you for the midterm exam. Right, so I just wanted to let you know that I am uploading these videos as well to YouTube now. Uh, so what you're gonna find in Blackboard is just the link to the YouTube channel. Okay, now let's start with this part. To begin with this part, we have a revolution of this profile. So first, what we have to understand here is that we have the top view and a section view. This section view is the section AA, and here is the line AA. And then we also have this other section BB, which is coming from this line and towards this line. And the idea is that we have to replicate this geometry that we have on the right. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start with this section BB. And using this section, I'm gonna create a revolution of the profile. So here in SolidWorks, I'm gonna activate my planes. And then using the front plane, I'm gonna create a new sketch. Now I can hide those planes. As usual, I like to begin with lines for construction, going towards the center of the plane. And then I know that the axis of revolution of this profile is going to be this vertical line here. So I have to draw everything from a certain distance from that center, which is in diameter 10 millimeters. So we know that diameter already, which is 10 millimeters. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I draw this downwards, but I'm gonna just move it upwards. And then I'm gonna draw this line here in the bottom, then a little bit to the up. Something just to reproduce that kind of same geometry. Something like this. Okay, now I also know that this diameter in the base is 20 millimeters. And also that here in this jump we have 2 millimeters. Then I also know that this height here is 11 millimeters. So this one is 11 millimeters. Now, careful here because we have to define the relation that this line and this other line both are collinear. Okay. Sorry. Now we have to play with these outer diameters. The maximum is 42, which would be this corner here. This one would be 42. And then we also know that the second one is 40, which would be this vertical line here. Then we have 34, which is the inner side of this column. And then we have 12, which would be the outer part of this small column here. This one is 12. Now we have this 3 and this 1 here that is giving me information of this height and this height here. So this one is going to be 3 and this one is going to be only 1. Like that. Okay, now we can proceed to the revolution of this profile. So I'm gonna exit this sketch, go to features, click in revolve boss base, and for the center I'm gonna select this line for construction. I want a full revolution, so 360 degrees is fine, and then I can click OK. Now what we can do now is this these three geometries around the main circle. And to do that, I'm gonna select, let me see, I'm gonna select this face to create a new sketch. I press Ctrl 8 in my keyboard. Again, I do lines for construction. That goes through the origin of that plane. And one of the students was asking me how to use offset entities, or sorry, convert entities. And what I can do with that tool is that I can select any geometry that I already have and project that geometry to the plane I am using to do this sketch. Remember that the plane that I'm using is this face. So imagine that there is an infinite plane that matches that face. And in this case, what I want to replicate is this circle. And then I can click OK. Other way to reproduce this circle would be if I'm gonna press Ctrl C to show you that other approach, and that would be just creating a circle that is uh, tangent to that geometry already. But sometimes the geometry that I need to reproduce are not that easy as just doing one circle. So what I can do is I can use the convert entities, and then I can project that geometry in that plane. And that will give me that circle in that plane. Okay, now this circle that I have created, I want that to be for construction only. And that means that that circle is not gonna be a solid line, it's just a discontinuous line, and it is meant for reference for future geometries. I'm gonna elaborate a little bit more on that. Or you know what? Let's leave it as solid line by pressing Ctrl C. Or you can just go to the circle and unclick the option for construction. Now I'm gonna do a second circle, but this one is gonna be larger. This one is gonna have a diameter of 50. And that diameter is coming actually from this radius here. That is gonna mark the center of this circle here, and also for this arc. Okay. So this one is actually gonna be for construction. I click on the circle and then I click here in options for construction. Very good. Then I'm gonna draw a circle here that intercepts the circle for construction that we have and the vertical line for construction that we have. And this one is gonna be of diameter 10 millimeters. And that diameter is actually coming from this radius. The next thing, I'm gonna draw a line here using this diamond that is on the right of the circle. And it's gonna be a vertical line that crosses the circle that we use in the convert entities. So as you see, this line and this circle are both tangent, and this line is coincident and horizontal to the center of that circle. And here we have this coincident relation between the circle and the line. Sorry, and the end point of the line. I'm gonna use the mirror entities to mirror this line to the other side. I click here in mirror about and then I select this line. And I can click OK. Then we'll delete the portion of the circle that I don't need, this side and this side, also this part and this part. And then I'm gonna delete this portion of the circle and this portion of the circle. Be careful because here we have a little bit more of that circle, so I have to delete that portion as well, and the same here. Now that I have a dark gray area, it means that I have a closed loop. However, I'm gonna draw also the hole from now, and I know that the hole is actually in diameter 3.6 millimeters. Okay, and then I'm gonna exit this sketch. I'm gonna go to features and then do an extrusion. The first thing, I'm gonna switch the direction of that extrusion, and then I'm gonna select up to vertex, or not, up to surface, and I'm gonna select this surface. As you see here, the lower surface of that geometry must match the lower surface of the revolution. So that's what I'm doing there. Or since you know as well this height, you can just define that height for the revolution, for the extrusion, sorry. Then we can click OK. Now from the back side of that geometry, I'm gonna select that plane and then I'm gonna create a new sketch. Control 8. Here I'm gonna just draw a circle that is in the center of this circle and it's larger. This one is 6.7 millimeters in diameter. And that's it. Exit this sketch. And then I go to features and extrude cut. Let's try not to use the whole wizard. Sometimes it doesn't work depending on your installation of SolidWorks. So let's just go with extrude cut. And this icon here is showing me that that extrusion goes only 1.65 millimeters. As you see in that section, this big diameter is only cutting partially that geometry. It doesn't go through the entire material. So here I can change this for 1.65 millimeters. And that's it. We see that partial cut. Get familiar with this representation because this will be also in the midterm. Now you understand that the meaning of this arrow is the depth of the cut of that circular hole. Okay. The thing now is that there are 3 of those things and I only draw 1. So what I can do next is I can select these 2 things here on the left And remember that if I need to um, modify the sketch, I can just deploy the operation, right click on the sketch and click in edit sketch, and that will take me to the sketch environment, where if I need to modify this diameter, I can do so. And the same goes for the previous geometry, this geometry. Or as well, you can modify the operation itself. In this case, the cut extrusion. If I right click on that and then click in edit feature, it will be possible for me to increase or decrease that extrusion if that is the case. Okay, now to do a pattern of this, I can click, I'm gonna hide those two sketches and then I'm gonna just select these two. And then here in linear pattern, I'm gonna select the second option, circular pattern. And then I select this circle here. In the direction, it's asking me the center of the revolution. I click that circle. And then I want to have them equally spaced in a complete revolution. Let's see what happens when I change this. For example, half a revolution. I can have only half a revolution, or even a quarter. But in this case, I want a full revolution. And then I can reduce the number of equally spaced features. In this case, I only need 3. So that's this number here. And then I can click OK. We're almost done. We're only missing these reinforcements in the inside. And that can be done using the front plane. As you see, two of those reinforcements are aligned with this horizontal line. And if I verify that front plane will be exactly that. So I can use that front plane to create a new sketch. And then Control 8. Now I could draw that in there, but all of the rest of this drawing will make it more difficult. So what I can do is I can activate the section view using that same front plane. Click OK. And then I can draw in that plane easier. Control 8. All I have to do now is, again, I can use the convert entities, and I'm gonna select, in this case, this line, and this line. Okay, maybe one at a time. Okay, maybe I cannot use the convert entities. But that's not a problem. I can still just do that same geometry. Again, first what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the lines for construction in the origin. Now what I can do next is I can select this line and this surface, or not. Okay. Then let's just define the location of those points. And we can do that with all of this information that we have. So we know this inner diameter, which is 34, this 34, then we know this inner diameter, which is 12, and that's it. Then I can just click exit here. I'm gonna deactivate the section view. And then I can click here in grip using this line. And this one should be only 1 millimeter, I guess. Or not. Instead of rip, let's use just a revolution of that sketch using this center line here. Now this one is gonna be only, but instead of blind, I'm gonna select blind plane. This one is gonna be only 3 degrees, or let's increase this to 5 degrees, and then click OK. And again, I can do just a pattern of that revolution using this center. And this time, instead of 3, we're gonna select 6 here. And that's it. We have our part completely modeled. Okay, and then for the next part, we have to model this geometry. This geometry, we have the top view, we have a section here, which is represented here on the left. So we can use this section to reproduce the bottom part, and then we can do an extrusion of this geometry on the top of that surface, and finally do the holes. So let's start. New part, okay. Front plane, sketch, line horizontal for construction and infinite length. Then the vertical, and that's it. I'm gonna start by drawing this line here and then this line here. I know this diameter is 27 millimeters here, and then this one is 48. And finally this is 84. Now the height of this triangle here is 42. This height here is 42. millimeters. And then I can go to the maximum diameter, which is 171. And then close this loop here. This one is 171. And this height is only 15. This one is 15. We can exit this sketch, do that revolution, click OK, and we have that. Very good. Now in this surface, I'm gonna create a second sketch. Control 8. Again, I like to start with the lines for construction in the center. And here we have to reproduce this shape that we have here, this other shape. First we have as a circle in the center with radius 31. One times 2, 62. And then we have another circle here of radius 16. And that distance there is gonna be half of this 75. So we can just define this as 75. And then I only have to draw a line between those two circles. But making sure that they are tangent. Then I can copy this line in the lower side, and the same for all of this. Mirror entities to the left. Finally, I can just get rid of all of those lines that I don't need. And that's perfect. I can extrude all of this. This extrusion is going to be 75 millimeters. And then I can draw these holes here in the material. To do so, I select this plane and create a new sketch. Then I do a circle here for construction. And this one is gonna be in diameter. We have that to be 126 millimeters. I forgot to put the lines for construction. Okay. And then I need to do one circle at 45 degrees from the horizontal. I will have to draw a line for construction there between the center of that circle and the center. And then define that angle here using those two lines for construction, 45 degrees. And then I can define the the diameter of that circle, which is 4 circles of diameter 15. And then I can do also a circular pattern of this circle using this center. I'm gonna use 4 of them. Click OK. And I can exit this sketch. Then I go to Extrude Cut those holes. And I'm gonna select only up to surface, up to this surface. And that's okay. Very good. Again, I'm gonna use the section view of this. And this time I'm gonna select the front plane to create a new sketch. Control 8. Horizontal, infinite length for construction. What I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna draw this profile for the hole. So it is gonna be something like this. Again, we have here this diameter, which is 27. So we can define this to be 27. But this line should be vertical, so I have to modify that. Okay. This one is 27. Okay. Then we have this maximum diameter, which is 39. This one is 39. These two are collinear, so I'm gonna add that relation. And then we have this small diameter, which is 21. Then I have that the first depth is 30. This first depth is 30. The second one is 12, and the third one is 24. This one is 12, and this one is 24. Okay, I have a problem here. I I have to delete this coincident here. Also this one. And this one. In order to move this up and down. So this one is 24. And now I have to define that this line is horizontal. Here. Everything is fully defined. I can just exit this sketch now and then go to features. This time I'm gonna use revolve cut. And for the center of that, I'm gonna select this line for construction and click OK. So we have that cut there. Okay, now I'm gonna do a second cut here. So again, I'm gonna use the front plane to create a new sketch. Control 8. Again, lines for constructions. Going through the center. And then I'm gonna draw another one here. This other one is gonna be the center of this cut, which is at 75 from the other one at the other side. So 75 divided by 2, it's equal to 37.5. Then I know that there is a line going down, then something in an angle here, and then I close this loop. What is not shown here in the blueprint is that these lines here, they are usually at 30 degrees from the horizontal. So we can define that angle here. They are usually 30 degrees. This line here. And then we have the depth of those holes, which is 25. And that 25 is measured from here to here. This is 25. And then we also have that diameter, which is 15. Like that. So with that, I can just exit this sketch, go to features. Again, I'm gonna use revolve cut. And for the center, I'm gonna select this line for construction here. And that will give me that profile. Then what I can do is I can use the mirror entity here. So I'm gonna select this cut revolve operation that I did. And then I'm gonna select the mirror. And for the plane, I'm gonna select the right plane. And then click OK. Now I can deactivate this section view. And I am missing one last thing, which is the fillet in the bottom. This fillet, which is with radius equal 5 millimeters, and that should be it. That will be this part completely modeled. Again, we can verify the section view, and that's it for this tutorial. So we have modeled this part and this other part. Remember that these tutorials are not graded, and that you have to submit this homework for this weekend. This is gonna be due next Sunday at midnight. Remember to submit the SolidWorks part file and the PDF file with the screenshots. Again, I look that I'm using the same icon here again, um, and during the midterm exam you will have the same icon. Also here, as you see here. So be careful with those. Uh, I think with these revolutions, mirror, circular patterns, and also the convert entities tool, you should be able to not only replicate these tutorials, but also to perform this part for your homework and for the midterm exam. Remember, if you have any questions, just contact me, and I will be more than happy to find a way out for you. Goodbye.